Shane McMahon on the phone this morning. What's up, Shane?
How you doing, Bubba? What's going on?
Good. Getting ready for the big show confrontation on Sunday.
Well, I'm trying to get ready. I mean, I don't know what you can do to prepare for that other than put yourself in front of a moving car and maybe, feel what that's going to be like.
When Paul used to work for your WCW, I took a double choke slam from him about 3 years ago, and there's no matter how you try to, probably next to you falling off the Jumbotron deal, you're not going to take a harder bump.
No, it definitely takes all the enthusiasm out of your body when you land.
No, of which, Shane, I want to talk about that because after you took that Titantron bump, I mean, you would not believe. We had all the boys on the phone from X-Pac to Edge and Christian to Hulk Hogan from different federations, and they all could not believe that bump that you took. What was it, about 6-7 months ago?
Yeah, a SummerSlam, right.
How in the hell did you take that? I mean, seriously, how high was that, Shane?
40 feet.
No matter how much you prepare or you try to whatever, how in the hell do you do that? I mean, seriously.
Basically, you have to have a lot of concentration, and you have to put all fear aside, because if you over-rotate from that high, it's over.
I mean, your neck or anything, your back, or
you're done. So you don't prepare too much, because you don't want to tempt fate too many times.
Is that the highest?
Ready for it? You get set, and then there you go.
Is that the highest bump, Shane, that that you've ever known?
That's the highest I've ever done. Sure.
I've never seen anybody take one like that ever.
I don't know. ECW used to be crazy, through rafters and stuff. I haven't seen all their tape yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, of which Paul's now working for you guys, isn't he?
Yes, Paul Heyman.
He is. Now, did you see the Lawler deal up on Mancow show? Or
no.
Did you hear about that?
No.
If I was your dad, I'd be. First of all, I don't understand where Jerry Lawler gets off on trying to have any type of relationship or a history with this business from this point forward, when he's going to bury you or your father or anybody or your sister, and he tried to throw Pritchard underneath the bus, and I don't know, he was just talking all kinds of smack about your dad on the Mancow Chicago-based show last week. And he's got to realize that the business is a business, and I mean, guys come and go all the time. And if you're going to have silly ass demands and dumbass girlfriends and wives that don't really make money, you're a commodity that can be let go. And rather than take the high road, rather than the low road, and possibly have a future with you with your infiltration of the WCW. I don't know, all these guys, these Buff Bagwells and these Lex Lugers and these Jeff Jarrett's that decided to have these prima donna attitudes, realize that there's only one game in town nowadays. All the boys, rushing towards you right now, trying to save face.
Well, we're talking to everybody. Jim Ross was down in Atlanta meeting with a bunch of the talent last week. And it's the redevelopment. When you have two entities, there's so much great talent out there that there's not room in the WWF to showcase it all. It's no different than having the National League and the American League in baseball. There are so many great teams, but so much great talent. So we need that other entity. WCW was going out of business, and we believe that good competition is good for everybody. So what we're now doing is we're forced into having competition with ourselves, because again, there is so much great talent. You got a lot of talent living right there in Tampa.
Yeah, a lot of old talent, new talent, up and coming talent, current talent.
You got a ton. So where do they go to showcase that? So that's when we stepped in, and that's when we purchased WCW. So that's the entity, and now we have to rebuild that, because the end goal is to have the WCW brand, and this might sound a little arrogant, equal the WWF brand. That caliber of talent. And I said this when I had a meeting with a lot of the WCW talent down at Nitro. So a lot of the similarities. So that's the plan. Right now it's revamping. AOL and Time Warner have to take care of some contractual obligations that they have with their current talent. And then after that, wonderful, here we go.
We had Briscoe on the phone line the week after.
Briscoe Brothers Body Shop.
Yeah, right there on Martin Luther King. Jerry and Jack Briscoe, of course, Jack being the true talent. We always got to shoot on Jerry. But
why do you bury Jerry?
No, we don't bury Jerry. Jerry calls the show and buries our fat asses so bad. We always shoot on Jerry when we can.
When you mean shoot, but you wouldn't dare shoot him on the mat, though.
Well, shoot style, Jerry would probably whoop my ass.
He'd whip your ass.
I mean, well, but then again, shoot style, so would Kurt Angle. I mean, if you talk shoot or work, but I mean, Jerry is a great guy, great for the community. And the thing about Jerry is people don't realize is that folk style wrestling or shoot style kid wrestling, Jerry's really involved in that. And anytime that the WWF comes to town, or you guys have anything even near town, whether it be Fort Myers or Orlando, Jerry will bring an Angle or somebody like that and do like a seminar for the kids here locally.
Right, and have you seen seen Jerry's son wrestle?
Oh, Jerry, he's great. He's also a great wakeboarder, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jerry's got some athletes in his family. And Jerry's always calling the show up and ribbing us. But I think it was the Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you guys got back in town, and prior to heading over to Houston, Jerry was in town for a day, and we had him on the air, and he was talking about the meeting that you had up there in Panama City. And how, like, most of the guys for the WCW were very receptive and very, good to, received you quite well and wanted to hear you. But there were some assholes that, had their arms crossed and didn't want to buy into the program. And I just don't understand how anybody, whether it's a Lex Luger or a Buff Bagwell or whatever, could have that kind of mentality when, regardless if you're on top or what kind of payday you're making, it has to be a breath of fresh air to be taken over by you and your father because of the promotional aspect and the merchandising aspect and the light at the end of the tunnel more than anything. And what you guys can fix this thing, obviously. And, I just don't understand how the Lex Lugers and the Buff Bagwells can have bad attitudes, Well,
I don't know. Obviously, you know something I don't from Buff and Lex having a bad attitude. I didn't perceive it when I was there. I don't know if they've said anything subsequent to that. However, if we did not step in, as I was saying earlier, and acquire WCW, it would be non-existent. So, to your point, I hope everything works out for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, now I was looking. I think one of the internet sites where you're thinking about taking WCW into the grassroots like it used to be, and that is maybe into some of the high school arenas and some of the smaller college towns and building it back up that way. Is that where you're kind of headed, Shane?
No, I'm gonna keep everything under wraps right now, but you're talking major arenas. Again, the key is to build WCW back into the powerhouse that it was, okay, and to be on equal par with the WWF. That's the end goal.
Would you, Shane? Would you ever do any unilateral promotion where you would infiltrate a Stone Cold or a Rock or Edge and Christian or a Dudley Brothers, somebody that's really really over with the current federation, maybe infuse that into a WCW promotion with a run-in or some kind of storyline or an angle like that? Would you be adverse to doing something like that down the road?
Hold on, I'm writing all this stuff down. These are great ideas.
I mean, inevitably, Shane, if you win, not if, but when you get WCW back up, everybody's always talked years. For years now, everybody's always talked about a mega pay-per-view when both federations were feuding, when NWO was hot, and then you guys obviously have had a 3 or 4 year just incredible run, and the tide has shifted now back to you guys. Everybody always talked about that, that ultimate pay-per-view that if Turner and Shane and Vince could all get together and do a one big mega pay-per-view. And obviously, you couldn't do it back then. Now you can, but a Stone Cold versus Goldberg, a Sting versus Undertaker. You know what I'm talking about. Could you ever see where you and your dad could do something like that down the road?
Absolutely. Again, we always say in the World Wrestling Federation, anything can happen to WWF. Well, now anything can happen to WWF as well as WCW. So it's a stay tuned factor. Right.
What up with the Bob Costas interview your father was subjected to? It was Costas just laying for Vince? I mean, I never really knew Bob I've always had a lot of respect for Bob Costas and never knew that he could be that much of a shooter or that much of an asshole.
Well, Bob's very smart. That's the highest rated show the Costas show had thus far, I believe.
Oh, so the more heat he gets with Vince.
Yeah.
I mean,
Vince is public enemy number one. He is subject to everyone calling him out and little comments here, comments there. So Bob's no different, and it was a good opportunity for us and go out there.
So Bob figures as much crap as he throws against the wall. Obviously your dad's not going to sit there and take anything. He's a shooter at heart too. So when Bob gets tough, obviously Vince is going to get tough back. And I guess I didn't really look at it that way, but I didn't know that was the highest rated Costas show either. But any up and coming talent, Shane, that we don't know about that you guys have been developing? You guys always got something, Every current talent that you guys have now, started somewhere. Can I tell you who my favorite talent is? I don't want you to sound like a mark, but by far one of my favorite talents?
Sure.
Triple H.
You like Triple H?
God. Can interview his ass off, looks good, can work his ass off. I just wish you guys would switch him over to Baby someday. He'd be the best baby in the world ever. Ever, huh? Well, I don't know about ever. He could definitely take the... What are you guys doing on the tag team realm? It seems like the Dudleys, Edge, and Christians getting a little stale. Do you guys got any new tag teams that are coming up, Shane?
Well, you have, to switch that up, this Sunday at Backlash, you have the Dudleys with Spike, a new addition.
Right.
Versus the X Factor.
Right.
X-Pac, Justin, and Albert. So that should be very interesting. We're pumped about that. But everything has to be evolved. your new talent does come in because you do need to keep fresh talent in there and fresh storylines. So, yes, they will continue to be split apart, the Edge Christian, Hardys / Dudleys angle. We've done that, and unbelievable. You've done 2 TLC matches, which, in my book, are some of the best matches ever done in the World Wrestling Federation.
We have Edge and Christian on the phone. They live in Tampa, on the phone usually a couple days when they get back in town from the TLC matches, and they're like, man, you have no idea how sore we are, and you don't feel it the night of because of the adrenaline factor. But God, and those are, and I didn't think that they could top TLC 1, but TLC 2 was right there. And I mean, it is just, if you know anybody about the business, or all the marks now are smart as to what the true deal is, and you watch those guys and how they fly around and the bumps that they take, and it's truly amazing. They've taken it to the next level. I don't know how toppable that is. I mean, it's the best work you could ever see. We have Hogan on the phone all the time, and even towards while he was still running with the WCW a little bit, as he was shooting on the company, and as he's involved in a lawsuit right now, I guess. But Terry once said that the difference between the WCW back then and even now and WWF is that you can call Vince or Shane McMahon on Christmas at noon, and they'll talk about an angle or a storyline or anything to do with their federation. Meanwhile, if you try to call Turner, anybody or anybody at the Turner Broadcasting System or anything with WCW after 5:05 on a Friday, you're going to get an answering machine. That's kind of the difference, I think, between you guys and your current state and where a lot of people were headed.
Well, I definitely think there's pride involved. We're 4 generations in, family-wise, so this is what we love to do and breathe passion in the business. And that's truly what it's about. It is about passion, and that's what's instilled in every one of the WWF superstars, and now that will be in WCW. The guys who really, truly want it and want to make a difference have that opportunity to do so. Go become stars. And no one works harder at it than all of us collectively, because it is a true team unit. I think that's one of the main differences of past WCW and WWF is that everyone in the World Wrestling Federation works as a team. It's a locker room. It's the boys continuing to say, hey, try this, try that, always trying to one-upsmanship. It's healthy competition. That's one of the main differences. It was main difference.
Well, plus there's a couple people in charge with your corporation, you and your dad, and and then you guys have your people, and there's not the guys who have creative control clauses in their contracts and won't do a job or take one in the middle, or if it makes sense, they do it, and there's very little opposition as to when you and your father call an angle. You obviously talk to them, but that was the demise of the WCW. All these prima donnas who wouldn't do this or do that, or their neck hurts, or they got a 3-week hiatus because they pulled a hamstring, and Shane, your dad and yourself have always been paid real well. But you make your people, from what we can gather, make you back a lot of incentives in guys' contracts as far as dates and merchandising and stuff like that. And it's not easy money; it's earned money. And I think that's why you guys are sitting atop of the business and have incorporated yourself into the old federation. And I'll tell you, Shane, I've been back in the back a few times while you're in town, and you are well respected, and the boys walk lightly around you. Not in a bad way, but I'm just saying. I mean, if anybody watches TV and just thinks that Shane, is a worker or a wrestler, the people need to realize that you call the shots, and you are really, really, really an important and regarded as the man back there, and I don't think a lot of people know that.
Well, I appreciate the accolade. I don't know if it's that well deserved. Again, I get back to the team atmosphere. If the team does not work together, and the team is all the talent, it's the production, it's Kevin Dunn, our executive producer, it's the lighting guy, it's the music, it's everything put together, and especially the talent. The 2 most important things in our business are talent and television, and that's what we have to continue to build upon. So unless we all work together and go towards that end goal, which is putting on the best possible product, none of it works.
Well, Shane, I know you're getting busy, brother, and I'm honored to be able to take 15, 20 minutes of your time. In closing, if you can talk about it, a lot of WCW fans, want to know about some of the bigger names, and nobody has really been able to talk about the Goldbergs, the Stings, the Flairs, the Hogans. If you could briefly touch upon what your relationship possibly with these gentlemen are, or contractually what the possibility of them coming and joining your ranks. Can you touch on that at all, Shane?
Well, as I said earlier, contractually, all of those individuals have contracts with AOL Time Warner. So until those contracts, and that's between the talent and AOL Time Warner.
Right.
Once all that is taken care of, then we're able to sit down with them and start talking about different angles and scenarios and coming aboard and being a part of it if they all want it. Some may not.
would there be a possibility, Shane, that once they were able to clear up their AOL Time Warner deals and were on an even playing ground where they could speak to you, that they could maybe catapult from the WCW and go right to the WWF?
Yeah, it's wide open.
Right.
Again, it's like you have a bunch of all-star players out there now. Some need development, some don't, and what do you do with that? WCW is another entity, again, to build that and get it up par with the WWF. It's another vehicle to showcase those talents.
For all the listening, don't forget this Sunday, the pay-per-view. Shane taking on the Big Show. Again, as we open the conversation up, not really much preparation that you can even do. It isn't like he can all of a sudden get on a workout regimen to defend himself against a guy that's 500 pounds, 7'1". So I guess more than anything, Shane, having been in the business as long as you are, you're going to have to, if you have any special swerves or any special whatevers, this is going to be the Sunday that you're going to need to pull them out.
I'm going to work on that. Hopefully I can just hit him with a car or something.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, I certainly, man, thank you. Thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I hope more than anything that we could have you again sometime and talk about whatever.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.